Hello everyone, a new theropod is now stomping in, the biggest, baddest dinosaur ever made by Biosyn. So soon we'll have a monster on our hands because the Jurassic World Giganotosaurus is now on the way, I do say. With our marine reptile now all done, we're back to some dinosaur making fun. Where I'm proud to say we'll be making a massive theropod skeleton today because the Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus is now on the way. And as I construct this dinosaur skeleton today, we'll be going over some fun facts I say on the Giga today, I do say. T.Rex and Spinosaurus have a new contender for the most popular dinosaur due to the more recent exposure the Giganotosaurus has been receiving in popular media lately. Since its discovery in 1995, this huge dinosaur has been getting more and more attention in movies, gaming, and the internet. So in this video today, I'll be going over 10 interesting facts about the Giganotosaurus, you could say. Starting with number 1, which is probably the most popular known fact, Giganotosaurus was larger than Tyrannosaurus rex. And this is probably one of the main contributions that the Giganotosaurus has gained so much popularity in a very short period of time, is due to the fact that it was perhaps larger and perhaps heavier than the Tyrannosaurus rex. Full-grown adult gigas, on average, would reach an estimated weight of 8 to 10 tons, or 7,000 to 9,000 kilograms, which is just a bit larger than the world's largest T-Rex currently, which happens to be Scotty, weighing in at 9 tons. However, it should be mentioned that there are some specimens of Tyrannosaurus rex that are definitely a lot larger than average, aka Goliath, which I've covered in previous videos, and if you'd like to check those out, well, be sure to check out the Rexy project. However, in spite the fact that the Giganotosaurus could potentially reach lengths of 39 feet or 43 feet long, which is approximately 12 to 13 meters, it is still technically not the world's largest carnivorous dinosaur that we have ever found to this date. That honor belongs to, pending, well, further fossil discoveries, is the Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, which is the Spinosaurus that lived in North Africa in the mid-Cretaceous period. Now on to fun fact number 2 for all of you. The name Giganotosaurus has nothing to do with the word gigantic. Giganotosaurus is Greek for giant southern lizard, not gigantic lizard as it's often mistranslated and mispronounced. The correct term for giant in Greek is giganto. The two most notable examples using this term is the giant feathered dinosaur Gigantoraptor and the giant prehistoric snake Gigantophis. Those names translate to Giant Caesar and Giant Snake, respectively. Now onto fun fact number 3. Giganotosaurus was discovered by an amateur fossil hunter. Not all great dino discoveries are found by paleontologists. Giganotosaurus was unearthed in the Patagonian region of Argentina in 1993 by an amateur fossil hunter named Ruben Dario Carolini. The paleontologist who examined the type specimen acknowledged Carolini's contribution by naming this new dinosaur Giganotosaurus carolini, and unfortunately to this day this is the only Giganotosaurus known species. However, it should be briefly mentioned, they are a family member of the Carcharodontosauridae family, which does involve a group of dinosaurs that is fairly popular, and one of my personal favorites from this line is the Agrocanthosaurus. But on to fun fact number 4. No one has found a complete Giganotosaurus skeleton to this day. Just like Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus was diagnosed based off incomplete fossil remains. In this case, it's a set of bones representing a single adult specimen. The specimen discovered by Ruben Carolini in 1993 is about 70% complete, which includes the skull, the hips, and most of the back leg bones. Unfortunately, to this day, researchers have only identified fragments of this dinosaur's skull. Fun fact number 5. Giganotosaurus may have hunted Argentinosaurus. The discovery of the bones of this gigantic titanosaur, Argentinosaurus, in close proximity to those of Giganotosaurus, suggests that these two dinos may have had a confrontation from time to time. Although, it's hard to imagine a Giganotosaurus taking down a 100 metric ton Argentinosaurus adult. So it's a quite common assumption from this region by paleontologists that these large carnivores often hunted in packs, at the very least in groups of 2 or 3 individuals. Fun fact number 6. Giganotosaurus preceded Tyrannosaurus rex by 30 million years. Try to comprehend a time span of 30 million years just for a second. Giganotosaurus roamed the South American plains about 95 million years ago, which is an unimaginable 30 million years gap between its relative, Tyrannosaurus rex, which appeared in North America. Giganotosaurus may have also been a contemporary for the world's largest meat-eating dinosaur, the Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, which lived in North Africa. One may wonder why the late Cretaceous theropods were relatively small compared to their Middle and Late Cretaceous ancestors. Perhaps it had something to do with the climate, or perhaps just an abundance of prey. Either one of these theories could hold the answer to this question. Personally, I think it might be abundance of prey. Now on to fun fact number 7. Giganotosaurus was probably faster than T.Rex. Since Jurassic Park, the running speed of Tyrannosaurus rex has been highly debated, with some scientists estimating that it could only run a paltry 10 miles per hour, as opposed to the 32 miles per hour stated by John Hammond in the movie. Based on a detailed analysis of the skeletal structure, scientists concluded that Giganotosaurus was most likely a very fast dinosaur, perhaps capable of sprinting 20 miles per hour or more when chasing fast prey, at least for short bursts. Fun fact number 8. Giganotosaurus had a relatively small brain for the size of this dinosaur. It should be mentioned that dinosaurs are hardly known for their intelligence, but Giganotosaurus may have been particularly dumb, with a brain only half the size of its famous cousin, the T.Rex, relative to its body weight, giving this dinosaur a relatively low IQ estimation. And just to rub some extra salt in the wound, this dinosaur's brain was probably a good relative size and weight comparison to a banana, and this was partially due to its long, narrow skull. And on to fun fact number 9. This fact was briefly touched up on earlier in this video, but Giganotosaurus is closely related to Giganotosaurus, which also happens to belong in the Giganotosauridae family tree. Paleontologists usually have a tendency to pick fittingly terrifying names for these prehistoric beasts. Well, maybe all of those except for Beclaspinax. But Giganotosaurus translates to Great White Shark Lizard, and Tyrannotitan, meaning giant tyrant, were also close cousins of Giganotosaurus, although the first dinosaur did live in northern Africa, rather than South America. And fun fact number 10. Giganotosaurus was the largest meat-eating dinosaur in South America, although it wasn't the largest theropod of the Mesozoic era, and that honor still belongs to the North African Spinosaurus, but Giganotosaurus has secured its title as the largest meat-eating dinosaur in South America. South America is also the place dinosaurs first evolved, way back during the Triassic period, which is approximately 230 million years ago. However, there is some evidence of the ultimate ancestors of dinosaurs originating from Scotland. I hope you enjoyed these 10 fun facts about the Giganotosaurus today, and if you have any ideas for a dinosaur or kaiju themed video, please leave a comment below so that way I can add a point for that creature. And it might just make it someday, I do say. So be sure to smash that like button as hard as a dinosaur today, share this video with your prehistoric history loving friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. And be sure you have your post notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the daily shorts or new videos. And I would just like to briefly thank you all for your support because we are now on the road to 12K, you might say. So I'd like to say once again today, thank you for all your support, I do say. So I have one more bonus fun fact for all of you who stuck around in the video thus far. Giganotosaurus had an extremely strong bite force, but it wasn't as strong as Tyrannosaurus rex. The bite force for Giganotosaurus was approximately 6,000 to 8,000 Newton meters, whereas the Tyrannosaurus rex is estimated to be about 35 to 75,000 Newton meters. And I'll give you a quick conversion for PSI on these Newton meter specs. The PSI conversion for Giganotosaurus is approximately 2,900 PSI to 4,200 PSI. And for a quick comparison, Tyrannosaurus rex was approximately 8,000 to 12,000 PSI. However, there are some estimations on Tyrannosaurus rex bite force being as high as 431,000 PSI at the very tip of the tooth. But now it's time for the build rundown on the Giganotosaurus stop-motion skeleton. The materials used to make this dinosaur thus far today was some oven-baked clay for the bones, you might say, and some armature wire for the joints, you might say. I also used some tinfoil today to help us save on oven-baked clay, and for future plasticine, you could say. But speaking of plasticine clay, a little bit of that was used today to help everything basically stay. But this project has just begun, so stay tuned for some part 2 fun, where I'll be putting the finishing touches on the skull, you might say, as well as sculpting away at the first layers of of plasticine clay, where one could say this dinosaur will be more than just a skeleton, I say. So stay tuned, I say, for part 2 soon heading your way, I do say. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end of the video. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the content, comment below what you think, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if anything. Anyway, that's enough from me. Till next time, take it easy.